Are we all ready? Okay, I was just wondering because there's some guy walking around and fiddling around with the cameras and I don't know what's going on. It's a little disconcerting standing in front of a lot of people, so thank you all for coming. That's the first thing I want to say. And before we start this beautiful little talk about gender pronouns in many different languages, I want to tell you that the plan is that this talk is going to be multilingual. So I don't have to stick to my boring English. Nosotros podemos hablar español. ¿Está bien? ¿Español está bien? Sí. Claro. ¿Francés ça va? Sí. Deutsch auch gut? Ja. Esperanto? Yes. Nederlands? Joanna Ruski? Okay, I get the idea. I guess you want to hear all of them. I'm not going to manage to do all of them. I'm afraid we don't have time for that. But okay, before I start this talk about gender pronouns, the idea about this gender pronoun talk is we're going to talk about pronouns that we use for non-binary people or in situations where we do not want to make clear whether the person we are speaking about is a man or a woman. And to do that, first I have to explain a little bit about what non-binary people do and what transgender people, how we deal with pronouns with this kind of people in general, because if I don't, then there might be some problems later in understanding what the talk is about. So, the important notice that I want to do is that when we talk about transgender people, you always refer to them by the gender they are presenting as, moving towards, never by what they were in the past, yes? Or what they presented as in the past, which is actually a better way of putting it, to be honest. And if you're not sure what pronoun somebody prefers, the best way to find out is simply to ask. Yeah? So for example, if you want to know which pronouns I use she, her, hers when we speak about English, ella when we speak about Spanish, Elde when we speak about French, and so on and so forth. Okay? This is, now I've got the little sidetrack out of the way, so we can start the actual presentation. Y podemos empezar con qué exactamente es el género. Entonces tenemos género gramatical y género natural. Y el género gramatical vamos a tratar ahora y después tenemos 4 grupos de idiomas cuando hablamos de género. Uno, tenemos grupos que no tienen género, de todo. Tenemos un grupo de idiomas que tienen género, pero depende del estilo, si hablamos al oral o si escribimos el idioma. ¿Más fuerte? Menos fuerte. Menos fuerte. Vale. Y el tercer grupo son idiomas que tienen género, pero tienen una solución para el problema del género neutro o el non binario. Y tenemos un grupo de idiomas que no tienen esa solución. Okay? And when I talk about gender and language, quand nous parlons de genre, de langage, il y a un genre grammatique, ça veut dire, par exemple, en français, ou mieux en allemand, chaque mot a un genre. C'est-à-dire, si on a le mot das Mädchen, le mot Mädchen, c'est un mot neutre. Mais, en fait, parce que nous parlons d'une fille, en fait, il s'agit d'une substantif qui doit être féminin, non? Mais parce que comme das Mädchen est un diminutif, on utilise le genre neutre. Et dans ce cas-là, nous faisons référence à le mot Mädchen, on va pourtant dire en français, en allemand, sie. Das Mädchen spielt draußen, sie spielt draußen und nicht es spielt draußen. Yeah? So we have grammatical gender and natural gender. And these are two different things and they are important later on. So the natural gender is what we generally perceive naturally. So when we see a woman, we refer to them as she, even though the grammatical gender of the noun may be different. Which is important? Well, like I touched upon, both are important, but some languages that don't have gender in general, like English, they might still have gender on the pronouns, because we still say he, she, right? Or Esperanto, which has li, she. Ri, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to ri later. Hold your horses. We have 4 types, and doing research, I found that there are 4 types of groups when it comes to dealing with gender in pronouns. The first group is the group of languages that doesn't have gender. Es gibt nichts. When we speak Hungarian, it doesn't matter whether we talk about a man, a woman, a non-binary person, or a sponge cake. It's all the same. And many Asian languages don't have gender. So Japanese doesn't have gender, Finnish doesn't have gender, Turkish doesn't have gender. Okay, Finnish isn't Asian, but it's... I guess it's crazy enough that we can call it Asian. There are languages that... yeah. Sorry, Finland. There's a group number 2, which is where it's register dependent, such as Mandarin Chinese. When you speak Mandarin Chinese, you don't indicate the gender, but when you write it, you do. There are languages that have gender, but that have found a sort of solution for the gender problem. English is an example, Swedish, Esperanto, Dutch. Although the Dutch one is a bit clumsy, I'll get to that later. And the last one is languages that are just make my head burst when I see them when it comes to gender. So whenever I try to speak Spanish and deal with gender, then I want to cry inside. And I don't even want to speak about Hebrew. So it's horrible. Every time I have to say you, I have to think, am I speaking to a man or a woman? And if I'm speaking to a non-binary person, what do I say? I don't know. There's no sponge cake pronoun. It doesn't work. Group number 1, and we'll take an example from each group and a couple of examples from some of the latter groups to see what ways we have. So, number 1, can anybody tell me what language this is? Magyar. Magyar van. Nagyon jól. Nagyon jól. And Hungarian has no gender. He and she is just So whenever you walk in Hungary on the street and you see someone, you just go and the Hungarian person next to you will know that you're referring to that hot girl walking on the other side of the street, or you might be referring to the cat walking in front of you. We don't know. And if you want to make that into the plural, you add a K. So if you see 2 hot girls or 2 cats or 2 sponge cakes, whatever, you say And it works the same for like Finnish and all the other language in this group. So if in Finnish it's hän, and so on and so forth. So in Hungarian or Finnish you don't have a problem. You just address people the same way, whether they're men or women or whatever they are. I don't know. I'm lost. Can anybody? 你们会告诉我这个是什么语言？是中文，是普通话是吗？是的啊。好，很好。When we have a man or a woman or a sponge cake, whatever. I love the sponge cakes. We can also talk about cheesecake. If you prefer cheesecake, does anybody prefer cheesecake? Cheesecake, cheesecake, okay, cheesecake. We all say ta, ta, ta. First tone, so ta. But when we write, we have a different character. So when we have this, I'll use my little thingy. Let's see if this works, the laser thing. So we have ta. This is for this is what we use for men. This is what we use for women. This is what we use for neutral or objects or, well, tables, I don't know, many things, really. Cheesecake, yeah. I love the audience input, it's great. The problem with this ta is that we can't use it for people because it's like when you refer to a person as if they were a table. I don't know, but does anybody here like being called a table? There's always one that says yes. I'm guessing there's someone that wants to be referred to as an Apache helicopter in the back. But the thing about Mandarin is that this is actually a recent invention. So originally Mandarin only had the character for he. And so up until like the 1920s, all people Mandarin speakers, whatever they were doing when they were writing this ta character. And then us Westerners came along and we corrupted the Chinese with our ideas about men and women and gender roles and stereotypes. And we told the Chinese, well, we don't understand what this whole non-men women thing is about, so can we please give us a character for women so we know how to actually translate our texts? And the Chinese, as much as they like to obey, they gave us the other characters. They even have a character for gods in traditional. I don't know why, but they do. And sometimes I think that because ta, this original ta, is actually a neutral character. It doesn't even have the character for man, and it has the character for human, like the one from zhen is the radical. So it's actually originally a neutral character, and we could, in principle, speak Chinese that way, because in speech you say ta anyway, so there's no need to have more characters to represent it. Well, what some people have started doing, apparently online or in some companies, is use the pinyin ta when they want to be expressly obscure about the gender. And I find this a little weird because Chinese they love using their characters, and breaking it up with pinyin is a bit strange, but apparently this is a solution some people use.
Could you just qualify the term pinyin?
Pinyin is the phonetic representation of Chinese. So when you write Mandarin and you want to write it in Latin letters, you use pinyin. That's what you call it. So it's just the way we call the writing system when we phonetically transfer Chinese to Latin script. Mandarin has its solutions, but we know this language, right? English, yeah. It's Welsh. There are many solutions in English. English has a problem because people fight over which pronouns to use. And there are many options, and I'm just giving some here because I've seen lists that have like 50 different pronouns in them, and I didn't want to stick them on this presentation. It's very weird. So the most common one that we use is the gender neutral, is the singular they. So there's an old usage of they, where they is used in a singular form, and we refer to non-binary people as they. This is I think the most common one that I've seen. But there are other ones. So there is the gender neutral z, pronounced z, and I called hair eyes gleam, that is hairs, and Z likes herself. I don't know who wrote this. Probably a narcissist, but that's what I think, it's my theory. But as many solutions as there are, I think the one that's most common is the singular they one. But if in case you don't know in English, the best way to go about it is just to ask. You can ask, what pronouns would you like me to use? And someone will say, I like he as a pronoun, or I like they as a pronoun, or I like she as a pronoun. And you're like, see, what's that? And then they'll explain to you what it is. But the singular they is the one I really like the best because it's a revival of an old English term that to me seems like the one that fits the English grammar best. So it's the one that when I'm in doubt, that's the one I would go for. If I don't know or if I'm confused, I just call people they. And I pretend they're plural because I really respect them. I think they're two people. I think they're worth two people instead of one. Deze kennen we ook? Nederlands. Ja? Nederlands is iets moeilijker. In Nederlands hebben we hij. We have hij, zij, het. He, she, it. Dutch has grammatical gender, but we usually put masculine and feminine together. Die gaan samen. Unless you're from Belgium, and in which case, if you're from Belgium, I'm sorry. You're wrong, we don't do this anymore. But the weird thing is, in Dutch, natural gender takes priority, but the thing is, we call neuter nouns, we also call them hij. So secretly, we think all tables are masculine. This is my theory. I don't know why. I guess cheesecake is masculine too. And het is, we can't call people het because it's very offensive. You can't call people het. It's like saying, you are a table, you are a chair. We don't do that. So what some clever people in Dutch came up with was a solution. And they said, well, if we don't know, we can call them hen. And then hen is, but the problem is that hen is an object pronoun, it's not a subject pronoun, it's an existing pronoun in Dutch. And you can have sentences like, hen ziet hen, and then we don't know what we're talking about, because it would be like, they sees them. Wait, what? They sees who? Who's they? Who is the other they? I'm confused. So some people tend to use die instead, which is very common in colloquial speech already. And it's also recommended. And the Dutch transgender network, Transgender Netwerk Nederland, this is what they recommend. You can replace the hen by die sometimes. But I've not seen it used very often. I think the Dutch people have had enough of being progressive lately, so. I keep telling them that they have to do this, but they won't listen. Any help? We have a successful solution. Vem kan berätta mig vad det är för språket? Svenska. Svenska, det är just det. Svenska har hen, precis. Svenska har hen. Svenska systemet liknar nederländska systemet. Men svenskar använder hen. Och i Sverige vi har haft hen sedan 1966 faktiskt. 1966. But it only became popular around after 2010 when feminists decided, we're sick of your stuff. We're going to use hen. Very good, Sweden. Ja, jag vet. Men vi kommer till det senare. Vi kommer att svara på frågan senare, okay? And the thing about hen is that there are rules about this by the Swedish Academy, which is very nice because people actually know when to use it. It's been used in the Swedish parliament before, although the usage of the pronoun hen may be political, so you're more likely to find it among left-wing people than right-wing people. Surprising, right? So, all in all, the only thing I have to say about Swedish is this. Swedish gets a gold star and a jelly baby. And because we've all established that we like cheesecake, do we want to give Sweden some cheesecake? Yeah! Ĉu vi konas tion ĉi lingvon? Esperanto. Yes, tio estas Esperanto. Kaj ni havas rismon. We have rismo. The original Esperanto is a conlang. For those who don't know, Esperanto was created in the 19th century by a cool guy named Ludwig Leser Zamenhof. And Zamenhof was from the 19th century, and as Polish Jews in the 19th century do, they make up languages with words for he and she. So they have li and she in the original Esperanto proposal. And there is a new trend in Esperanto to use the pronoun ri. And what I read is that ri is supposed to be used instead of li and she. So it's not used alongside ri and she. And if you want to masculinize a noun, you have a masculinization suffix, which didn't exist in the original Esperanto. So in Esperanto, you add suffixes to indicate gender. So you can have viro, which would normally mean man or human. And you have virino, which means woman. But under Riesmo, viro would mean human, and then viricho would mean man. And of course, because this is conlangs and there are always purists about, they don't like this solution. I don't know why. I think innovation is a good thing. I disagree with them. I will use ri. Will you use ri? Yes, you will. So reuse is used by certain reists, and sometimes it's used by other people. I'm not sure if it's universally understood by all Esperantists. I think most people will have an idea what you're talking about. Although I have seen it used in certain blogs, like Egaletsen, for example. So I do see it used, and when I speak to my Esperanto LGBT friends, LGBTIQ, whatever friends, so many letters, I do use ri, and I use it alongside li and she. So I use li and she when I know what their pronouns are, and when I'm not sure, I use ri. Because in case I use li and then they turn out to be she, that's a little bit confusing. Or they may even be very offended. I don't like offending people, so when I say ri, I'm at least sure that it's neutral enough. But in Esperanto, I think I would use it a little bit differently depending on the context. This is group 4. This is the put baby in the corner languages. These are the languages I don't like. A mí no me gusta el español porque es un rollo. Tiene género y no podemos resolver el problema. ¿Qué vamos a hacer, chicos, chicas, chiques? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Nada. Tenemos género gramatical, y en español tenemos el masculino y el femenino, y nada más. Entonces, chico o chica, rojo o azul. Eso es un problema, ¿no? Y algunos listos que están en Internet hay muchos listos y ellos hacen propuestos, y algunos listos han propuesto una solución que es usar un nuevo pronombre, elle, que termina en e, pero en español tenemos que cambiar los adjetivos también, ¿no? Entonces, el propuesto es cuando queremos hablar en términos neutrales, podemos decir, en vez de decir los niños guapos o las niñas guapas, podemos decir les niñas guapas. De hecho, somos catalanes, yo creo. Enfermeres. Enfermedades ya está como está. Pero en España tenemos una institución que toma decisiones en cuanto al idioma y se llama la RAI. Conocemos a la RAI. La RAI es muy progresiva, ¿no? Muy progresiva es. Sí, me gusta la RAI, no. Pero han hecho peticiones a la RAI, han hecho el propuesto, y la RAI hasta entonces no ha dicho nada. Bueno, ¿qué quieres de la RAI? ¿Qué queréis? Nada. En línea se usa mucho la arroba o la ex para pronunciar, ponemos el arroba es, chic arroba es, y yo no tengo ni idea cómo pronunciarlo. Y por lo tanto, cómo utilizar a estos pronombres y cómo integrar esos propuestos en la lengua española, para mí queda como un misterio muy grande. No sé por qué, pero eso es Eso es la vida con el español. Pobre, 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 pobre español. Te quiero, pero en ese sentido tenemos que hablar. y los otros idiomas de la misma familia, no hay diferencia. Los franceses igual, los italianos igual, los portugueses igual, los romanos no quiero ni hablar. Los catalanes, no, es que no sé catalán. Pues entonces, y por fin tenemos otro idioma que tiene 3 géneros, que es el čeština. Čeština. Czech. And Czech is making it worse. Czech is actually a worse offender than Spanish. Can you believe that? Well, I can. They have 3 pronouns. On, for men. Ona, for women. Ono, for neutral objects or nouns. But you'd think ono is neutral, right? You can use it for people. The truth is, I've never seen people use ono for people. I've seen it used for things like the nouns that are neuter in Czech, like okno, window. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody address anybody else as ono ever. Yes, for a child, maybe for a child. But what do we do when they turn past the luxurious age of 18? En allemand, je sais pas. En anglais, on peut pas utiliser it. Ça va pas fonctionner. Comme en anglais, c'est comme en anglais, oui. En fait, oui. Yeah, but en anglais, on a they, exactement. And so Czech doesn't really have an adequate solution for non-binary people. Czech makes me a very sad panda. So in Czech, when you say ono je lékař, so I guess if they are lékař, they're not under 18, right? And the other thing is that Czech has gender on verbs, so it's not just when I'm referring to someone, but then when I'm saying jsem studovala v Čechách, I've studied in the Czech Republic, then I have to indicate whether I'm a man or a woman. And this makes it very hard to disguise who you are, because whenever you speak, you have to tell them, oh, I'm a woman doing this thing, I'm a man doing this thing, I'm a window doing this thing, I'm a small child doing this thing. So, and I've searched and I've searched and I've searched the fount of all wisdom, which is the internet. And I didn't find anything on Czech. Please Czech, please help me out here. Even in Spanish I found something, but in Czech nothing. And it gets even worse because Czech has best friends in the language world. Russian, Polish, etc. It's the same problem. And then we get to the Semitic languages, such as Arabic, Hebrew. Well, if you know how Hebrew and Arabic work, they are very, 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 very gender-based. I have no idea how to solve this problem. When I decided I think I need to include Hebrew in this talk, and then I read the thing with the conjugation table, and I gave up. There is probably a way. There's a way around everything, but I haven't come up with it, and I don't have the energy. Hen, yeah. 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 I guess there's a way, but I don't speak Hebrew well enough. That's also the other reason I didn't include it in the talk. I don't want to talk about languages I don't know. It's a bit weird. And, yes. Okay, can we have this discussion a little bit later? The questions are in 3 minutes, so... Okay, the conclusion is that gender is a thing that's very hard to change because people tend to be very resistant to changing pronouns. It's a fact of language that verbs, nouns get integrated very easily, but gender pronouns are very hard to integrate. And even in languages that have solutions, I've seen many, many, many places where they don't get used or where you get a lot of resistance against them. And it's not always like that. In Swedish, it's a place where hen has been integrated into society, and researchers have said, linguistic researchers have said, hen is here to stay. So Swedish gets my gold star. But we need to further develop ways to do this in other languages and to make sure that there is a common consensus on those languages, because otherwise we're going to keep talking in circles when it comes to gender. And because we're all a nice group here, and I want to be very inclusive, I really want to be able to address you all properly. So with that, I want to conclude, because without a proper address, we can never be friends. And I want to be friends. That's it. That's a lot of noise, guys. Any very terrible questions I have to answer? Just go, ask.
It's not a question, we just wanted to dire qu'il y a aussi une autre langue che tiene un pronombre neutro che ho studiato appena di fa, che è lo Swahili.
Swahili. Ok, il Swahili non lo conosco, mi dispiace. Andre, yes?
Indonesia has no gender when speaking to people, and also Farsi doesn't either.
Yes, there's a many of the Asian languages don't, so they fall under the group 1.
Also Thai.
Also Thai. I love the Asians. I think I should move to Asia. There in the back. Nice guy in the back.
I came in the thing is I don't know to answer. So you compare a lot of languages, how they view genders in their pronouns?
Yes.
My question is, so is there any data, any correlation between like how a language deals with gender and data and non-binary people and the treatment of the speakers, how the speakers treat non-binary people?
I haven't seen any factual statistics, research, or data on it. I would be very interested to read it. Yes, I will repeat the question. So the question is, does the language that we use when talking about non-binary people, does it relate to the way we treat non-binary people in society, in different cultures and different societies? And the answer is, I really don't know. I think it depends more on the person. In general, I find that it also depends on the kind of political affiliation more than the country. But that's a hunch, and I have nothing to back that up. So if anybody has research on that, please let me know. So, yeah, you can use the microphone. It's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. So about the Esperanto and purists. Some purists actually prefer to use G. That means it's actually it, and they say it's fundamental. But it's also in Esperanto depends on the background language. So if you speak to an Italian person, they will insist of using the female and gender form of the verbs, or if this person is like, is this person from Northern Europe, they will not do that. So Esperanto kind of reflects your background culture very much. About Russian language, I'm a native Russian speaker. When I was a teenager, I was a bit playing with this, so I was just getting around by talking about myself as a third person. Also, I wanted to kind of slightly say about the political thing. In Ukrainian and Polish feminist movements, there's a fight to use so-called feminitives. So basically the female versions of the positions and stuff like this. So they are kind of against the neutral language, because they think that neutral language is a very masculine thing. So it's just for you to be aware, because I think it's also kind of very much related to trans community and LGBTQ community. Kind of it's intersection. Thank you so much.
I actually agree, and when doing research, I talked to some Russian people, and in Russian I've seen a similar thing. Yeah, guy with the cap there, guy with the cap over there. Sí, sí, claro.
Lo que decía es de que el español, usamos el femenino masculino si no tenemos opción. problema ahora, por ejemplo, porque con la lengua no sabemos muy bien si decir doctor o doctora. Y con la nueva reforma que hay, la gente no sabe qué decir. Entonces, es un político o una política. Porque se ha dicho que el español, la O en realidad no marca género. Pero, por ejemplo, si yo estoy con un grupo de amigos y son 20 chicas y yo soy el único chico, tenemos que decirnos, yo diría nosotros y ellas dirían nosotros. Entonces, por ejemplo, hace un par de años yo he empezado a utilizar nosotras si estoy incluido dentro de un grupo en el que hay más chicas. Pero es difícil saberlo, porque tampoco sé hasta qué sentido la O significa una cuestión de, no sé cómo explicarlo. Es difícil saberlo, yo no sé realmente si es cuestión del idioma, del léxico, de evolución, o si es de verdad una cuestión de discriminación.
O simplemente de preferencia. So, se trata del O y del A, de las terminaciones de los sustantivos, ¿no? Ok. Yeah, you can use the microphone.
I just want to make 2 comments. One is about Japanese. Actually, Japanese has gender pronouns, but what makes it better is that Japanese don't like to use third-person pronouns, so that's why they use like this person or that person, or even like they indicate the profession, that teacher or that doctor or something. Yeah. No. Yeah, and they often like skip the pronouns, so they guess it by the context. And then Icelandic, it has also 3 genders, and it's like Czech. You have to change the adjectives and nouns and pronouns, everything. But they have the solution of haun. By the way, han is masculine and hun is feminine, and so it's still on that stage of being known to people, but it seems to be getting well, matching well with the language. You get to decline the words in neutral, and that's a solution. But I'm just curious. I don't know, but I'm just curious because Icelandic names has no family names, and they use the father's name plus son or daughter instead. So yeah, I would like to know how the non-binary people get by with that.
That's a very good question. This is about how do Icelandic non-binary people deal with the fact that when you have a patronymic or a matronymic, which is very common in Icelandic, is that they say when you have Jon, son of Paul, you have Jon Paulsson. And if you have Kristina Paulsdóttir, it's Christina, daughter of Paul. But how do Icelandic non-binary people deal with that? Okay. The answer is, I really don't know because I don't speak Icelandic well enough. Icelandic is a very small community, so I guess in Iceland everybody knows each other. At least that's the joke. It's a joke they tell. That's what they told me when I was in Iceland. Don't blame this one on me. But they, I'm sure they'll find a way. They're clever enough. They're very good about these things. Okay.
Hey everybody, if you're interested in discussing this more, we actually have on Facebook a group called the Nonbinary Linguistics Network, and we have bi-monthly meetings where we get together on Google Hangouts and read different things that have to do with it. So we're not just linguists, although a lot of us are, and it's not just pronouns, so all kinds of things that have to do through Google Hangouts. So anybody who has a computer and a Google account can join. And if you don't have Facebook, then you can email me and I can tell you when the meetings are.
Sounds like a good thing to join. Please help her out, or her, or him, or they, or whatever. I don't know. They, right? Okay. See, I screw up too. So help them out. I'm guessing it's more people anyway. Help them out. Okay, that one. Yes? Should I give you the microphone? Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to add, because German was not included in the presentation. With German, it's also a difficult question, because you, like in Dutch and in English, you have also the male and the female pronoun. In the German language, for the pronouns, there is not a real solution, but what is done for the professions, for instance, and especially in Austria and Vienna, it's very widespread, that in print, there is a capital E, I letter written. So, for instance, mit den KollegInnen, and there it's written a capital letter E, and also, for instance, with adjective endings, or for instance, with the article endings. So, in Vienna, in official publications, or in Austria, it's ever more widespread to have this kind of solution, which I think in terms of the different solutions that are presented is unique, that you write it actually a capital letter in the middle of a word.
Yeah, but it only denominates male or female. It doesn't denominate non-binary.
That's true. What is also a solution, that sometimes people just write a star, for instance, like with colleague, and then just a star. So that would include everybody, so to say, but that usage is not so widespread, at least in Austria. So the most widespread alternative way of writing is with a capital I in the middle of the word, or using another word which is not defining the gender. So, for instance, not Lehrer, Lehrerin, but Lehrkraft. So that way. I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Just a quick comment on singular they in English. It actually dates back to about the 13th century and was used in Middle English. It was less common a century or two ago because of prescriptive grammarians that were overusing the influence of Latin.
So we really have a good reason to use it. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, I think we're running out of time. So one quick question. Okay. I don't think I can manage to get that far back in 1 minute, so you have to stand up and shout really loud, okay?
I live in France and teacher, and I get tired of being Madame Le Professeur and hearing about Madame Le Ministre. And I was just wondering if anyone has proposed a solution for professions in Latin languages that are always referred to in the masculine betinon.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question? Sorry? Because someone came along and showed me a nice sign. And
Okay, is there an answer to saying Madame Le Ministre? Like, is there some other pronoun that's been suggested for Latin languages?
to be fairly honest with you, I really don't know. That's the only answer I can give.
I've heard
it depends on the government, actually. If the government is progressive, in the official paper, it's Madame la Ministre.
Really? Is there anything usual? Is there any non-letter way of doing that?
But you just have to do it and then
Okay, I think that this is a great time to stop. Do you agree? Okay, there we go.